All right, what's going on, guys? This is Logan with West Desert Wheeler. Got a pretty relaxed video today. Truthfully, the topic is actually these new Vanquish course markers. That's what inspired me to come out and make a video for you guys today, which of course means that I get to run whatever RC I want, have some fun, set up some courses. It's always a good time to challenge yourself. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun with that. So let's spin around and take a look at what we've got going on. So here we have the new Vanquish course markers. I ordered enough for the blue cones to be the standard gate and then the orange cones to be bonuses. They come in 5 packs. So you have to get 2 packages of blue to get 10 gates, and then 1 package of orange will give you a total of 15 gates, although most courses that we run are typically 10 gates with 2 bonuses or 3, depending on which class we're talking about. For reference though, I do have one of my old course markers that we used to use. This is just a tennis ball cut in half, and just for size reference, the Vanquish cones are pretty much identical to the size of a tennis ball as far as the circumference of it. They're a little bit lower profile, and then you don't have the fuzz and stuff sticking out of it. It does have the V logo, and these are two-tone, which is nice. So essentially what I've heard Vanquish say is that this is supposed to indicate an arrow. Obviously it's the Vanquish V. So it's funny, in my head I see this and I'm like, oh, I should set this down on the rock like this so that I know which direction it goes. But in reality, it's supposed to be an arrow and point the direction you want the gate to go. So that's just something in my head at least. But I do like that these are marked black already, whereas like the axial old markers, those aren't marked. You have to actually Sharpie those in yourself. And then these are not numbered. It'd be cool if Vanquish had a little sticker pack that just slapped in here and gave you the number that you needed. But of course, you can just use a Sharpie and Sharpie that in. Yeah, so we got 2 colors. They are a soft, flexible silicone, I believe it is. And then it's got these little nubbins here on the bottom. And in setting up this course today on the sandstone, I was putting these on some pretty wild angles just to see like where they will hold on or let go. And these things hold on pretty dang good. One of the times I ended up just like pushing the cone down like that, and then when I released it, it kind of grabbed onto the rock. So that's an option as well. But the tennis balls, they do okay. Sometimes they like to slip off the rock. Sometimes you're just trying to put a cone in a very awkward angle, and that's how it goes. As far as transporting my cones, this is available through my merch site. This is just a little drawstring backpack, and then I throw all my cones in there. Super convenient, and that's the only reason why it's on my merch website. I guess if you want a drawstring backpack, that's super cheap for other stuff, but I use it as my ball bag. So if you need a ball bag, go get a West Desert Wheeler ball bag. There you go, shameless plug. And pick up a shirt while you're there. Also, all the kids merch is marked all the way down as far as I can so that I don't make any money on kids merch. It's literally the cost of the shirt by cost. So that's all handled third party, so I have nothing to do with it. They're made to order. They take like a week or 2 and then they ship them out, so that works out. The main vehicle I want to focus on today is going to be my TiPro MJ43 chassis. This is an all titanium cage. It's got Vanquish Capra axles underneath it. It's got a Vanquish VFD twin installed and a Colorado Adventure Club dig lockout. So I have selectable front dig and rear dig, so I can make the rear wheels turn and lock the fronts. That's pretty awesome. That's available from Colorado Adventure Club. And yeah, thanks very much, Cody. He was actually out here recently rock crawling, and it was fun to go out wheeling with the boys, so it was cool that he made it out. The other truck we have is my Rock Pirates RC Rum Runner. This is my ding dong truck. Both of these cars are running on cut and shuts and Capra axles with 4-wheel steer. It'll be very interesting to see how the Buggy does on this course, which I designed it in mind with the Buggy, and then we'll see if we can just go like cruise right through it in this guy. But this doesn't have dig, so there may be a few areas where this has a specific advantage. Let's go hit the rocks and see how she does today. So the number one thing I've got to say about having competition course markers or just fun line markers like Vanquish is offering here, if you've been driving on the terrain that you know well and you've been doing it for a while and you feel like it's just boring now, you've done all the lines, course markers here will add a lot of fun, especially with a few friends. But I mean, by yourself, you can absolutely have a good time as well. That's all I'm doing out here is just running solo. That was a nice little front dig action there. But you can run way mellower rocks, but increase the challenge by trying to dodge the cones as you wheel along. We got bellied out in the wrong spot. So definitely try a set out, because it just makes things really fun and challenging. Especially when you get some friends involved, you can have a really low-key comp. You can set the rules you want to have. I've not hit a gate yet, but I'm about to. I don't think I did, but I backed up. Also, I'm not running for time or anything here. I'm just going to be wheeling and having fun, trying to avoid some cones. Practice with my car. And so I've gotten pretty good at seeing lines for RC cars. And so basically what I do is I go look for a line that looks fun, like this little V-notch, and then I put a cone where a tire needs to go. And all of a sudden, what a pain that line becomes. And we've almost got it here. There it is. I'm pretty confident I cleaned that. It took a reverse, but yeah, I got very, very close to both of those cones, but I did not hit either one. So we'll move on down the rocks to the next set. But yeah, as far as adding just a very fun element to your crawl sessions, definitely throw a couple cones down. Like I say, it can just be for hard lines, and it can be to challenge yourself, or you can set up a legit competition where you're scoring yourselves. It's all a good time. Now, one thing that's really fun to do, and this will help improve your driving, is try and look at an obstacle and determine whether your car can make it or not. So here's what I imagine in my head. My front end's gonna go right up to the upper ledge, which is less of an angle than this bottom shelf. I think it's going to start to pull, and then right as the rears hit this bump right here, it's going to stop driving up the rocks. And then I don't really have a good hook up top to really bite into. So I think that the rears are gonna kind of stop us here, which is why I put a bonus gate in this location and a standard gate in the next location. But also, if you're unable to make the bonus gate, there's this little drive around here that I'm pretty confident the car can do. So little things like that as a course builder are good things to look out for. So let's see how correct I am. And again, I haven't driven up this at all. And we're gonna see if this 8.5 pound car can pull its way up. The rear got exactly to where I expected it to. We're looking pretty good. Maybe we might be able to crab our way through. Turn the rears, maybe work that left rear up, and then turn it back. But now we're trying not to drive under ourselves, meaning that rear tire drives under the center of gravity of the truck and it'll flip it right over. Right there would be a good spot for a little bump, a little momentum. Ooh, that was pretty close. Yep, and pretty well determined, just, you know, I didn't see a hook up top for anything. So I didn't really see a way that this was gonna pull it up, which is why I'd make a good bonus. You gotta earn it. Like I say, I'm not timing myself right now, but if you're under the pressure of time, I would have given up on this gate and moved on at this point, because this car doesn't have a winch. Most competitions I run, I don't run a winch. I just like to drive the gates if they're possible. If they're not, take the gate and move on. Oh yeah, that is one aspect, is if you're running a serious comp with progression and stuff, you need to make one of the cones where you can actually drive over it without too much trouble if you're unable to make the standard climb. Another thing as a course builder is typically I will set a minimum gate width, and then you don't have to run minimum gate width on everything. Like right here, I left a good amount of room to kind of wiggle between these gates. And if they are minimum gate width, which I mean, I'm gonna set multiple for sure in a whole course, but that are minimum gate width. But setting up your exact build for competition is very important to know what track width you want to go with. You should definitely practice on some gates that are the intended minimum gate width for the competition series you're gonna run, whether that's 12 inches or 13 or 16 like WRCCA. And then you want to figure out what a good track width is, because right here, this is a pretty narrow gate for this truck. I don't have a lot of line options. If my truck is narrower, I have more line options to wiggle my way through and find the traction I want, but then you lose side hill stability. So it's this perfect balance you got to find of, you know, where it fits versus how stable your truck is. And going too narrow makes your truck tip over easier, but it gives you more options between cones. So track width is a very important thing you want to pick out when designing and building a comp truck, which can be as simple as changing the wheels and tires. Like this truck, I could narrow it up just by swapping wheels and tires around. These are Spec RC 2.2s, but they got a good amount of offset to them. You can see that big wide lip on the wheel there. And yeah, you can run something with a more positive offset and it will narrow the track width. So right here, I'm going to use an approach that an actual buggy would use. More comp course builder tips. On a downhill like this, it's a lot harder to land the car exactly where you want versus drive between the gate and fall off. Meaning, if I put cones up here it's pretty easy to drive through that without hitting them. If I'm trying to land the car at the bottom of a steep incline, that's a little bit trickier, and it's harder to land it exactly where you want. So I gave myself just a little bit of extra room. This is how I'd build a course for anybody else that was running. And then I'm also backing up because my car has a forward weight bias. So those front tires are holding on better up top versus if all the weight is at the bottom, it's gonna try and drag the rears off. Wow, it's actually gonna stick it. That looked really, really good. Very nice. Worked perfect. Real quick, I'm gonna see if I can drive up this. Because that was like enough traction that, oh, whoops. Okay, well, I do think with the right amount of momentum it could drive up that, but I was surprised that actually stuck it. Another great feature you can always do, okay, let's use our rear dig to reset the car. Sometimes you gotta use a little throttle. It's called a burn after all. You gotta get those tires spinning. Another great course feature you should always incorporate at somewhere on the course is a good side hill. Those are always challenging. A lot of overdrive in this truck. It's trying to pull the rears down. Oh, we clipped that gate. So yep, that truck struggles right there from the high amount of overdrive. I think it's up in the 35% range. I saw someone ask this recently, is what percentage do I recommend? It very much depends on the exact build you've got. Pretty much you'll only start noticing overdrive around the 20% mark. I typically run 30 to 35. I've driven with 40. It's a lot at 40, in my opinion. So we're gonna use the course here, open terrain, to our advantage so that we can get set up well for our next gate. Yeah, this thing's super stable. Dropping down, looking great. I didn't leave myself a lot of room for error on this one. And then there's a big drop at the bottom. So what I'm anticipating happening is the front axle is going to come down. The ground is higher on this side, so it's going to hit the front and it's going to wash the rear over like that. So we're going to try and avoid that. But I also set the cone as a course builder right there in a precarious spot, so if it even touches it, it should knock it right off that rock. Obviously, some spots next to deep cracks that you can't reach the bottom of, you don't want to set cones that tight. Yeah, our line choice here is a little questionable in the front. Could have set myself up better for that. So what I'm gonna do, oh, that Reefs 900 Smart moving the whole way to the truck. I'm gonna throw it in front only and try and get ourselves back in control. Yeah, that looked a lot better. It's exactly where I wanna go back to four-wheel drive. I should drive this rear away from that cone, because as your truck's coming downhill, it can never slide uphill, which that cone's uphill, that cone's downhill. So I want to drive uphill a bit. Not an extreme amount, but just enough to stay out of trouble. There she is. Very nice. What order do I want to run these in? I guess we can run to the gate behind me. I haven't numbered these, so it doesn't matter. I also am not running 10 full gates here. I had 2 bonuses set and 7 standard gates, I believe. Just to drive and talk and BS. So this one, there's not a lot of real estate up top. This is where I think the Rum Runner may run into some challenges, because this guy has burn and dig. Interchangeable terms, by the way. It doesn't matter what end of the truck it is. You can front burn, you can front dig, you can rear burn, you can rear dig. And I'm just trying to get this thing turned around on top of this narrow rock. And now I'm in the front dig. I might have been too late on that. So we're gonna reverse front only. Okay, now our front's set where we want. We're gonna be swapping our transmission around. Now I've got a good spot to push the rear around. Rear only is very beneficial on trucks with rear steer. I usually don't see as much of a benefit on drag axle trucks. So most of my drag axle stuff. Okay, yep. Now we're going back to 4-wheel before we hit the cone in front of us. Taking 2 reverses now, which should be definitely possible with the Rum Runner to get through here with 2 reverses. Didn't quite nail the line like I was hoping. That's all right. I'm actually gonna push that rear around a little more, get us away from that high side cone. Try not to swipe the low side. Ah, I got it. And I was in rear wheel drive on the way down. So when the fronts hit, I tried to throttle out, the rear was in the air, and I had no drive to the front tires. So that's something to watch out for too. Good old buggy life. I've seen full-size crawlers do that. They come off a big drop in a competition, they're locked in rear only, and then he did a front flip off of the rock because when he needed to throttle out, his front drive wasn't engaged. Here we go. Nice little bowl climb. Here's something as a course designer you can build into your courses. This gate to bonus, some people will look at this and go, yeah, I want to go directly from this gate to the bonus. And as a course builder, you can kind of build that in as far as like tempting someone to do that, just linking it straight to the next one. But as a driver who's been through a few courses before, I look at this and I'm like, okay, here's a gate, but there's this big real estate area out here. So I'm actually gonna go through the blue gate, swing around up top, and then climb straight through the bonus. So that's something you can look out for if you're driving in a local car seat comp. And there's definitely times where course builders will do that intentionally. And so we cruise right through this gate. We're gonna use the real estate available. Luckily this truck's got rear steer, so it turns pretty good with a lot of overdrive. Get all the way over to the edge, give us the most room available to turn. And then we're gonna push our way around. I could have used a front dig or a rear only, but I don't think it was quite necessary. Now we've set ourselves up a lot easier, having our rear end a little higher up on the ground. We still got to get the belly through. This is still a bonus gate. That front's getting pretty close. It's pretty far off. I need to get the front end worked over closer to the gate. Oh, we hit a cone. Now we got to make it through the gate to get the progression, so it's not a waste. Okay, there it is. And there's our little course we set up here, guys. Pretty fun with the buggy. We used its features, and we hurt ourselves with its features as well on that drop where I rolled. Fortunately, I didn't have to take an upright, and she drove her way through. But what a fun rig with this VFD twin, the Colorado Adventure Club lockout. Killer setup by TiPro. So yeah, really fun stuff. Now let's go grab a Rock Pirates rig, and we'll see how fast we can run through this course. Well, I brought this Radiolink RC8X because that's what this truck has been running on recently, and when I went to turn it on and get it all powered up, I realized the receiver was missing out of this truck. I don't remember taking it out of here. I'm not sure where it is currently, but our TiPro had a receiver for our FlySky GT5. The GT5 has a potentiometer knob up top. That's how I use to control the rear steer, and this guy has a potentiometer right behind here, and so I control the rear steer with this. I still use my right hand. So essentially, I don't know how to do this. I will hold a GoPro handle like this between my hands, which is what I'm recording with. And then on the FlySky, I drive with my left hand. You know, I use my thumb to steer. And then I'm holding the GoPro handle, and then I pinch and twist the rear steer on this guy. I use the exact same technique, I just use this button instead. So that's how I drive these things, if you guys have been wondering. We've got a receiver in this guy now. Now she's ready to rip. Got our endpoint set on steering. Let's go see how she does on the rocks. All right, friends, so here it is. We got our Rock Pirates Rum Runner. This one's on Capra portal axles. They're also very common to be built on F10 portals as well. This thing is a competition weapon. This has ridiculous breakover with its forward skid design, highly angled skid, double bend high clearance links in the rear. So on an obstacle where that TiPro is just bellied out like crazy, this should have a distinct advantage over it, although I still ended up on my skid. This is a pretty ugly gate. Much easier time wiggling through, a lot lighter weight as well. So it's got a ton of weight in the front too. So this guy has a lot more aggressive forward weight bias. She's probably 63%, I would guess, maybe 65. Now this is something I see a lot. A lot of people build custom portal trucks and they put deluxe portal transmissions in them. I have run a deluxe portal. I don't recommend it. I recommend using the deluxe Nod 2, which is what is in this guy. It's a lot lighter weight truck here, hoping that it can pull itself up. That left rear is almost there. Man, it's close. I think a lucky bounce, it'll get it. We tagged the gate on the way through, but it did make the climb. So there we go. I don't know if I got quite that aggressive in the TiPro, but this truck's just so light and nimble, it just feels more planted doing so. Look at our clearance on that skid. Not even gonna touch on our way through. Got extremely close, but she did not touch. Watch our gate on the far side. There we go. Yeah, it's just gonna cruise right up this. And then we can initiate our turn. Whew. Okay, she pulled it off. No problem. So this guy, because it's got a crazy forward weight bias, like we discussed, I am going to reverse into this as well. This is a very steep incline. Excuse me, Sydney. And with a more aggressive forward weight bias, this becomes more important to do this on steep inclines. The front of the truck will just manhandle the rear. It can make you do a front flip or just drag the entire rear down. But she's staying planted. Definitely want to stay straight. Don't get too angled or the front will wash over. Perfect. I do need to reset one of our gates. Let's do that on camera. Let's grab this little guy. This is one of the hardest ones to get to stick. I don't remember where exactly it was. It's something, see, I tried to set that V the wrong way again. Something like that. I mean, that's a pretty good little side hill. Not a whole lot to hold on there. So let's see how a Rum Runner does. This body was painted by my buddy Jason at Bonehead RC. You can follow him on Instagram. He did such a good job. This is essentially a joke. We're gonna throttle through. We still swiped it. Too aggressive of a side hill gate, I guess. Or I just am bad at driving. But yeah, Scale Builders Guild and Harley Designs have their weekly live stream a long time ago. The Scale Builders Guild, Matt, couldn't remember my name. So he said, hey, who is that? Is that Ding Dong from West Desert Wheeler? And wouldn't you know it, the internet made that my nickname on the internet. So instead of being upset about it or anything like that, you just own it. It's a lot better way to go about things in life. Don't be a bitch, have a sense of humor, which I certainly do. So yeah, I'll just lean into it. I don't care. I think it's funny. And if they wouldn't have called me Ding Dong, I wouldn't have this super rad Ding Dong paint job. Obviously inspired by the Hostess snack. Oh, that might have been a bad idea on the rear. It's gonna work out. Aha, sweet. Now we're driving straight into a bush. Now we're gonna drive up and over this rock. I'm gonna take the same approach, although I just saw that instead of coming up this side, we should climb that side. That would have made more sense. And that's where watching people in competition can help out. You watch somebody struggle on that. Uh-oh, Sydney's got something in her paw. You gonna be all right, goofball? Sydney got a cactus in her paw in one of my recent videos as well. A lot of people were very concerned. Yes, I took care of my puppy. Came over here, she had some stickers in her paw. There's a lot of cactuses in the desert. She's used to it though, she's tough. She's a good old dog. And her foot's good now. She's ready to go. Back to the RC action. All right, we gotta get our rear kicked out. We gotta get this thing rotating without driving off the edge up here. If we can do this with fewer than 2 reverses, we've beaten the TiPro, because the TiPro also used dig. And I think we're literally gonna drive straight through this thing. No reverse necessary. Endpoints are probably set a little more aggressive on this truck. The TiPro did move that cone. I did not reset it, so I don't remember exactly where it was, but it would have been very close to that rear tire. And then overdrive saving us right there. You saw the truck had dog-legged a bit on that steep drop. It pulled the nose right out from under it. You know, if you don't dig through the ground in the desert, you might not get a bunch of cactuses in your paws, you dork. I don't mind when she digs in the desert. The problem is she loves to dig in my backyard. That's Sydney's major flaw. Okay, let's see if we can get this directly from the blue into the orange. See if we can get that hook up top. Basically had to climb all the way to the top before it would work. Yeah, no, it's not gonna work out. Do some competition wiggling like this. Hey, we did it. We didn't have to back up. There we go. Go gadget, forward skid and angled skid and high clearance links. Did not even care. Drove right through that. Not surprised. This thing, like I said, is a competition weapon. This is set up for class 3 in our area. We don't run scale points or anything like that. It's just basically hardline rigs with rear steer. So that's going to round things out. Yeah, these increase the fun in your crawl sessions if you're in an area where you're bored of the terrain, or just period. They increase the fun, especially with a group of friends where have somebody set one course and then somebody else sets the next course, or multiple people set gates along a single course. It's a lot of fun. It's really a fun challenge to see other people's courses and then try and figure them out for yourself. It's always a lot easier because when I'm setting the gate, I have a line in mind for what I think will work, and then, you know, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but that's how it goes. But that's gonna be it for me here today, guys. I greatly appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. It was a fun one to make. We had a lot of fun out here on the rocks. Thanks to Sydney for running around in the background and sometimes occasionally blocking the view for you guys. That's her specialty. But my name's Logan with West Desert Wheeler. You can find the link down to these Vanquish course markers, I believe is the correct term for them, on the Vanquish website. Thanks to Vanquish for all their support through the years. It does mean a lot. And thanks to the boys over at Rock Pirates RC, over at TiPro. Yeah, all the good companies. Be sure to click whatever is down in the link below. Spec RC, thank you very much. SL3D RC, and check out westdesertwheeler.com. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep the rubber side down.